All right, so we got fall and winter coming up here pretty soon. The summer is, at this point, I would say about halfway to almost over. So it's going to be coming time for us to sort of reach into the collection and, grab some of the more like sweeter or heavier fragrances that we have. So what I have here today is I've got a top 15 list of what I feel like are the sort of top masculine leaning or masculine safe sort of vanilla scents that I have, at least in my collection. All right. So just to get started with the list, not waste any time, I'm going to start off with a fragrance from a designer house, and this is going to be from the house of Valentino, and this is Valentino's Born in Roma Intense. So this is a very potent, long-lasting, really fresh, but yet at the same time sort of creamy and sweet, sort of lavender and vanilla scent pretty much is what you get from this particular scent. And like I said, it is very long lasting. Definitely smells a lot more sort of concentrated and dense than what, say for instance, something like Born in Roma Coral Fantasy smells like. But yeah, man, this is definitely, I would say, one of my favorite, within that sort of Born in Roma line. And you really don't need too much of this. I would say maybe about 3 to 4 sprays and you're pretty much good for the rest of the day. And again, man, this is going to be Valentino's Born in Roma Intense. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be from Grandeur Elite, and this is their take on Lafayette Street from Bond Number 9. And this is going to be Avenue, New York. So this is a very good interpretation of Lafayette Street from Bond Number 9. It's not going to be as high quality in terms of like the florals. This is pretty much like a sort of floral, sweet vanilla, sort of tonka bean type of scent pretty much. So you get all of those aspects within this scent. This scent doesn't really come off as being like really spicy or anything like that. I would definitely say this is unisex, but I know plenty of guys who own and wear this scent. And I mean, I feel like at least the way it comes across on me, it doesn't really come across as like a feminine leaning scent really at all, even though it has, a heavy sort of floral aspect to it. But yeah, man, this is at least this version of it, the Grandeur Elite's version. This definitely gives me pretty decent performance, at least I would say about 8 hours pretty much. And it gives you, I would say, about average to moderate, sort of, projection. But yeah, man, this is just a really easygoing, sort of sweet, sort of floral scent that has, again, those elements of florals, vanilla, tonka bean, things such as that. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. You can typically get this one for like around $30-ish or so, and this is a 100 ml bottle. So again, that's Grandeur Elite's Avenue, New York. So next one on the list, this is going to be from the Woods collection, and this is their take on Parfums de Marly's Layton, and this is Dusk by the Woods collection. So Dusk to me is, I would say, probably one of the most high quality sort of clones that you can get of Layton, at least that I've smelled anyway. And it comes out, I would say, at least about 90+% close pretty much to Layton. It doesn't do the opening exactly the same with that super sort of medicinal mentholated sort of opening that you get with Parfums de Marly's Layton. But I would say after, pretty much like once you start getting into the mid and the dry down of that for, particular scent profile, this definitely, does it at least, I would say 90+% close pretty much. And this also gives you pretty decent performance as well, definitely 8+ hours. So if you're a fan of Layton, but, you don't necessarily have the money to buy a bottle of the original Parfums de Marly, then this would be the clone that I would absolutely recommend. Again, this is Dusk from the Woods collection. All right, so next is going to be a clone of YSL's Baby Cat, and this is going to be from Paris Corner. This is Rifaaqat. So Rifaaqat is pretty much, this is going to be like a really sort of smoky, incense heavy sort of vanilla scent. So it's going to start off with a heavy dose of, that incense pretty much. You're going to get some spices as well in the opening, but pretty much, I would say the whole time that you really smell this fragrance, there is a really heavy undertone of vanilla. The vanilla in this fragrance definitely comes out a lot more, you know, once you start to get into like the mid and far dry down of this fragrance. But I would say, you know, even from like the opening spray, you can still sort of smell that vanilla, you know, in the background as well when you first spray it on. This gives you pretty good performance as well. This is going to be another 8+ hour fragrance. And I would say the best thing about this fragrance is it leaves a really, really nice sillage. You know, it's not, in my opinion, like a super beast mode projecting fragrance, but it is something that is going to leave a really nice scent trail, you know, wherever you go. So definitely, if you are someone who can't really get your hands on Baby Cat, or you don't want to spend the amount of money that Baby Cat costs, then I would say this is a really good alternative. Not 100% close to, you know, Baby Cat, but very close still, I would say. So again, this is going to be Paris Corner's Rifaaqat. All right, so the next one, this is going to be from the house of Versace, and this one is definitely one that a lot of people in the fragrance community hate, but I feel like a lot of people just in the general outside world, they definitely love this fragrance. This is going to be Versace Eros, and this is the original EDT. So this is just like a really sort of minty, sort of apple and vanilla type of scent. And pretty much this fragrance, when it first came out, this was kind of known as sort of like a club sort of fragrance, because it is a very loud projecting type of fragrance, for sure. You know, you'll get noticed when you spray this. And this is, I would say, a fragrance that you do kind of have to be cognizant of how many times you spray it, because it can definitely come off as being obnoxious. But, you know, again, this is a really, really good fragrance, in my opinion. Definitely best for the nighttime, for the most part. You know, I would say maybe dates, going to the club, stuff like that. But I haven't really run into too many people that actually, you know, that don't actually enjoy the way that this smells. So I really enjoy this fragrance. It really lasts, you know, a really long time. At least, you know, 8+ hours again on this one. And again, when it projects, it really, really projects like a beast, at least for about the first hour and a half, 2 hours or so. So again, if you like that combination of, you know, sort of like a minty apple and, you know, vanilla, this is definitely going to scratch that itch pretty much. And again, this is going to be Versace Eros EDT. All right, so the next one is going to be from Fragrance World, and this is their take on Gold Myrrh Absolute by Carolina Herrera, and this is Absolute Gold. So Absolute Gold is, in my opinion, it is definitely sort of like a gourmand type of fragrance, but it's going to be a lot different than any other sort of gourmand fragrance that you smell. So this is very heavy on, in my opinion, vanilla, very heavy on cacao, you know, especially in the opening. And this does also have, you know, like some spicy and green elements to it as well, especially when you first spray it on. But pretty much once this dries down, I would say the main thing that, you know, really that I get is just kind of like a combination of vanilla and cacao. So this really does smell really delicious, you know, once it starts to dry down, for sure. And also, this is going to give you pretty good longevity as well. This is definitely going to be, you know, like one of those 8 to 10, you know, plus hour fragrances. It's just not going to give you super beast mode projection. So it's not one of those fragrances that are like super dense and thick and loud. It comes off as being sort of like a light, sort of powdery type of fragrance, at least in my, you know, the way it comes off on my skin anyway. But this is really, really good, man. Like I said, it's like vanilla, cacao, and then it has like some, you know, spicy and green elements to it, you know, when you first spray it on, pretty much. So again, this is going to be Fragrance World's Absolute Gold. All right, next one is also from Fragrance World. This is from their higher end FA Paris Fragrance World line. This is their take on Parfums de Marly's Altair, and this is Liquid Brun. So liquid Brun, this is pretty much almost identical to PDM's Altair. You do get, I would say, some extra sort of freshness from like some bergamot when you first spray this on. So I mean that's the main difference that you get between this and Altair. Altair to me comes off as being slightly more sweeter, slightly more vanilla heavy. At least within like the first probably 10 to 15 minutes. And then pretty much after that point in time, between the two fragrances, they're pretty much identical for the most part. I do sort of pick up on this, sort of slightly medicinal sort of, aspect of the PDM, which is, I feel like it's a part of their sort of scent DNA that they have in all of their fragrances. I noticed that sort of, kind of medicinal smell that they have in every fragrance that I've smelled from them. So I think that's just, part of the sort of materials that they use in their fragrances. That's really not present in this one. So if you don't really like that about PDM fragrances, then you'll definitely love this one, especially if you love vanilla. And I mean, this is like a floral sort of, whipped vanilla type of fragrance. To me, it doesn't really come off as super feminine. It's just kind of like a really sort of unisex, straight down the middle type of fragrance, at least in my opinion anyway. This one, I would say once you start to get into the dry down, the spices do start to come out a little bit more. So that kind of gives this one a slightly sort of more masculine edge to it. But either way, man, like I said, it's extremely close to, the Parfums de Marly fragrance. So I definitely recommend this one for sure. And again, this is Liquid Brun from F.A. Paris Fragrance World. All right, so the next one, this is another one from Fragrance World. This is their take on MFK's Grand Soir, and this is Barakkat Ambre Eve. So Barakkat Ambre Eve, this is just a really sort of, vanillic, ambery, resinous type of fragrance, pretty much. It's not going to be exactly the same as the MFK. The MFK definitely, it holds on to that sort of sparkly, fizzy sort of ambery, smell a lot longer than what this one does. You get that when you first spray this one on, but pretty much like maybe 10 minutes or so after you spray this on, it starts to become, resinous like really, really quickly. Whereas from what I remember with the MFK, when I was doing, the side by side between it and this, the MFK definitely held on to that, really sort of fizzy, ambery sort of smell for a lot longer than 10 minutes. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but I know it was significantly longer than what this one does. But pretty much once this one turns, to that sort of resinous side, then that's pretty much where you start to get a lot of that vanilla start to come out in this fragrance. It's just a really beautiful, mature, sort of vanillic, ambery, resinous, spicy sort of scent that I would say is really best suited for nighttime wear, pretty much. So again, this is going to be Fragrance World's Ambre Ambre Eve. All right, next one on the list, this is going to be from the house of Lattafa. This is their take on Dior's Dior Sauvage Elixir, and this is going to be Lattafa's Asad. So Lattafa Asad, this is pretty much, that Sauvage Elixir DNA, but this is with, I would say, a lot less of like that licorice note that you get from Sauvage Elixir and a lot more vanilla. The vanilla is definitely I would say the differentiating factor between this and something like, Sauvage Elixir, or even a more closer clone to like the scent profile from Fragrance World, like the Enigma Un, I believe is what it is. This one is more so like kind of like its own fragrance, more sort of like a twist. And I also think that the, extra sort of added vanilla that you get with this fragrance, it does make this one slightly more mass appealing, at least in my opinion anyway. makes it a little bit more mass appealing and a little bit less mature and less serious, in my opinion. So this one is a really, really good fragrance. You can, typically pick it up for really, really cheap. Normally like around $30 or so for 100 ml. So I would recommend this for sure. And again, this is Lattafa's Asad. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be pretty much like a summertime vanilla, believe it or not. So this is going to be from Central Obsessions, and this is their take on Creed's Sublime Vanille, and this is their formulation of Sublime Vanille. So as you can see, man, I'm almost done pretty much with this bottle. I've used this one quite a bit, and pretty much what this is like a really, really bright citrus mixed with vanilla, pretty much. I don't really know the exact sort of note breakdown of Sublime Vanille, but I know, again, pretty much what you get with this is you get citruses pretty much in the top notes, and you get like this really sort of musky, sweet, vanilla pretty much. And the way that this comes across, man, it definitely comes across as a vanilla scent that, in my opinion, you can definitely wear this all year round, but especially in the summertime. Now, I would say I don't necessarily wear this fragrance that much in the summertime out here, because out here in Las Vegas, our summertime is definitely a lot hotter than, what most people's are. So, I would say really if you live anywhere else other than, like the hot desert, then this is definitely a really good choice for the summertime for sure. But at least for me out here, this is more so something that I'll reach for like in the fall, the spring, etc. But this is a really, really nice fragrance if you want to, have something that's citrusy and vanillic sweet in the summertime. This is definitely one to reach for sure. And again, this is Sublime Vanille from Central Obsessions. All right, so the next one is from Bath and Body Works. This had been discontinued for quite a while, and they just brought it back recently. And this is Mahogany Woods from Bath and Body Works. So this is like a really ambery, woody, slightly sort of spicy, vanillic type of scent, pretty much. This is a really, really like easygoing sort of scent, in my opinion, as well. So this is going to be, in my opinion, really mass appealing. It's not really going to be like a super like serious or formal type of scent. In my opinion, this is I would say the perfect kind of just chilling at home scent, pretty much. I definitely prefer wearing something like this more so like when it's cooler outside, for sure, just because of the warm sort of ambery vanillic feel that you get from this fragrance. But I mean, I do think that this is a fragrance, as long as you're wearing it inside, this is a fragrance that you could wear all year round, pretty much. But this also gives really good performance as well. It projects really nicely off of my skin, and it lasts at least 8+ hours. So definitely, if you can still find these at Bath and Body Works, I would say pick this up for sure. And again, this is Mahogany Woods from Bath and Body Works. All right, next on the list, this is a newer one that I recently picked up, and this is Fragrance World's take on Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, and this is Vanille En Tobacco. So I do also have the Maison Alhambra Tobacco Touch as well, and I picked this one up because it seemed like every single one of these like Fragrance World Tom Ford clones that I've smelled have always smelled better than the Maison Alhambra versions. They've just smelled better blended, richer. They've had a better smell, in my opinion, and this one is no exception, man. This is a lot more richer and a lot more sort of complex and stronger than what the Maison Alhambra Tobacco Touch is. So with this one, the thing that I feel like that's missing in the Maison Alhambra Tobacco Touch is You really don't get that like dried fruit sort of smell in the Maison Alhambra. That one is like it's there technically, but like it is like far in the background pretty much in that fragrance. And that fragrance also, it just comes off as a lot sort of lighter. I feel like really the main thing that I get with the Maison Alhambra is kind of like the clove spice. You know, I would say some of that tobacco, and then pretty much like a light sort of dusty vanilla. This is definitely a lot richer. The vanilla is richer in this one. Like I said, the dried fruits are a lot richer in this as well. The tobacco to me in this one starts to come out later on in the dry down pretty much. But once it does, it's even stronger than what it is in the Maison Alhambra, like when you first spray that one on. Overall, man, this is a much better interpretation of Tobacco Vanille, at least in my opinion anyway, than what Tobacco Touch is. So if you're looking for a really good and cheap interpretation of Tobacco Vanille, this is definitely the one that I would recommend. And again, this is Vanille En Tobacco from Fragrance World. All right, so the next one is, I would say, another sort of vanilla fragrance that you can definitely also wear in the summertime. This is pretty much, this is Emperor Perfume's Prive Turquoise, all right? So this is their take on Armani Prive's Blue Turquoise. And this one, on skin anyway, is extremely close, in my opinion, to Blue Turquoise. The main difference that I get with this is this one really doesn't have like that like super peppery opening that you get from the Armani Prive. That one has a really, really huge blast of like black pepper as soon as you spray it on. I mean, it's really, really strong in that fragrance. This, to me, I can't really sense too much of that black pepper there. This, to me, when I first spray it on, you get more of sort of like a smooth sort of vanilla pretty much when you first spray this on. But overall, pretty much, you know, this is a vanilla sort of heavy or a vanilla focused type of scent. It's kind of like an aquatic style scent pretty much, with, you know, vanilla and more sort of denser notes, you know, added to it. So this is definitely a different type of, you know, aquatic style scent, but I really, really love the way that this smells. I feel like this is also another, you know, scent that you could pretty much wear all year round, not just the summertime pretty much. But this is really, really good, man. It performs good as well. I get at least 8 hours pretty much out of this fragrance in terms of longevity. And then, I mean, in terms of like how it projects, I would say it's like above average pretty much, you know, for like the first hour and a half or so. And then it does kind of come closer to the skin, but this is a really, really nice scent that I feel like doesn't really get any sort of, you know, hype at all, but I feel like it should. So again, this is going to be Emperor Perfume's Prive Turquoise. All right, so the next one is going to be from the house of Barara. This is, again, another fragrance that is definitely suited for the summertime, or you could definitely wear it in the summertime. And this is Barara's King. So this is going to be in that sort of Herba Pura sort of, you know, family of scents pretty much. And this is, in my opinion, a much more sort of masculine take on Herba Pura. It has, you know, that sort of dried fruit sort of smell to it. But in my opinion, the fruits, they don't come off as dry in this fragrance. They come off as a little bit more sort of, you know, natural smelling and juicy, at least, you know, in my opinion. Slightly dry though, but, you know, still with a decent amount of juiciness. Definitely more than what you get with, you know, the original Herba Pura. And the musk is definitely toned down a lot more in this fragrance. You get sort of like a woodier sort of aspect of this fragrance that you don't get in, you know, something like Herba Pura. And I mean, overall, this scent is pretty much, it's like a really sort of like musky, fruity, and vanillic type of scent pretty much that, you know, you can wear in the summertime, but I would also say, I mean, really, you could wear this all year round. It doesn't really matter. But this is a really, really nice, in my opinion, masculine, but yet at the same time, fruity and vanillic sort of scent, pretty much. So again, man, definitely check this one out. This is Barara's King. All right, so next one, this is from the house of Lattafa. This is definitely one of their more popular scents that have come out, like within the last year to 2 years or so. This one came out last year, and this was definitely, I would say, one of my favorite releases from Lattafa last year, and this is Honor and Glory from Lattafa. So as far as everyone knows, this really isn't, I guess, a clone of anything for the most part. Mainly what you get with this is you get like a heavy dose of pineapple when you first spray this on. Then that kind of turns into sort of like this spicy sort of creme brulee sort of smell. I liken this to be kind of like a pineapple upside down cake infused with like, cinnamon spices and vanilla pretty much. And, again, vanilla is definitely one of the main players in this fragrance for sure. Not really when you first spray it on, but pretty much I would say after like, I don't know, maybe 20-30 minutes of having the fragrance on, that's really, when the vanilla starts to come out along with the other notes in the fragrance. But from that point on, the vanilla is definitely, one of the main things that you smell with this fragrance. So this also gives you really good performance as well. I typically get over 10 hours with this fragrance. It's not a super loud fragrance in terms of the projection, but it really lingers and lasts a really long time, man. So definitely check this one out, man. Again, this is going to be Lattafa's Badi Al Oud Honor and Glory. All right, and then the last one on the list, this is from the house of Mercedes-Benz, and this is Mercedes-Benz Club Black. So Mercedes-Benz Club Black, this is, I would say, probably one of the more sort of popular men's vanilla fragrances for the most part. It does kind of have some similarities to, Guerlain's Spiritueuse Double Vanille. I mean, it's not really, I wouldn't consider this a clone really at all, because it has some major differences. But I guess you could kind of put it in sort of like the same family of fragrances as something like Spiritueuse Double Vanille. This is like bergamot citrus pretty much, with like a really sort of smoky sort of incense, along with, again, vanilla. I believe there's also like some florals in this as well, but the main thing that I get from this are the bergamot, the incense, and the vanilla. And this is definitely, in my opinion, more of sort of like a winter and fall type of fragrance for the most part. But this one also, it lasts on me a pretty good time as well, at least 8 hours. But it is going to, in terms of the projection, it is going to be a kind of closer to your skin, sort of light projecting type of scent. All right, so don't expect this one to be like a nuclear sort of scent on you. All right, so again, this is going to be Mercedes-Benz Club Black. All right, man, so that is the list. That is my top 15 list of, vanilla scents that I have in my collection that I feel like are, really sort of masculine safe pretty much. You can wear these fragrances without them, smelling too feminine on you if you're a guy. So definitely, let me know what you thought of the list. If you have any of these fragrances, do you like them? Do you hate them? Are they just okay? Let me know in the comments. And also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see y'all in the next video.